Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Combat Sports UK YouTube channel. We are here with another podcast. Just a little warning, we are still on the before side of UFC 298. So I am still here. However, if both Volk and Robert Whittaker have lost, you may not see me for a couple of weeks. I may be hiding under a tree somewhere. I may be depressed. But I'm here for now. We haven't had any spoilers. I'm here as well, always, with John Gamebred Boguslavski. Not looking so good in his recent photos, putting on the pounds in retirement, man.
You know, just the money's coming in and the belly is getting bigger.
Yeah, definitely a headline in UFC 300. That one's right out the window.
Ben Askren looks like me, so I'm pretty sure I could take him on.
You and Ben Askren at heavyweight, that's the way it's going? That's the secret announcement.
Super heavyweight.
Yeah, but to be fair, by the time we get to this podcast actually airing, we should know. We could know what the UFC 300 event is, all to come in the future. But nonetheless, we are here to preview the UFC's return to Mexico, the Mexico City. Brendan Royval versus Brandon Moreno. Sorry, two Brandons, not one Brendan, two Brandons. Moreno and Royval going at it in a replacement bout. Royval coming in for, who is it he's replacing? Who got injured? It was Amir Albazi. So Royval coming in on not really too much of a short notice. He obviously wouldn't have got a full camp. It's a rematch. What are our thoughts? Are we looking forward to a Mexico City card? The crowd are always exciting, right?
Oh yeah, and I don't remember last time we were in Mexico, so I believe the crowd is ready to have a fight night.
Now you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Just pick straight back up from there, and I'll cut it out in the edit. Oh no, what's going on? Is it me? Is it me? Is it you?
I did get a. Can you hear me, or is it?
Yeah, I can. Now it's fine. Now it's fine. But is it me that's freezing, or is it you that's freezing?
You're not freezing on my end.
Ah, okay. I wonder. Now it seems to have calmed down. Just keep moving your eyes. Yeah, just pick up with exactly what you were saying after I said about the looking forward to the event or whatever.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think the UFC Mexican fans are really excited for this one because I can't remember the last time UFC was in Mexico, and especially bringing the two bigger stars with Moreno and Rodriguez, the crowd should pop off and blow the roof off the building.
They should, and it's there's a good few big names on here. You know, everyone's pretty much in the main and co-main event. Brandon Moreno obviously being the star, the first Mexican champ, and then Yair Rodriguez in there as well. Brian Ortega's got that Mexican heritage as well. So let's dive straight in to this rematch in the main event. The guy's first locked horns a little while ago, 2020, where a shoulder injury led to a ground and pound victory for Brandon Moreno. Do you see it going down similar? Like I don't know, from my side, I kind of get the feeling Moreno's levels above. Is that too obvious, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a bit obvious, especially with how both of them, their last fights was versus Pantoja. And you see the differences of how they brought it to Pantoja and versus Pantoja's Moreno. It was a really close fight. You could have went either way. But then Royval versus Pantoja, you saw Royval gassing out and Pantoja just walking him down and a clean shutout to every round for Pantoja. So it does give an illusion that Moreno will get this done easily.
It does, and I mean, I guess the one good thing for Royval is, unless Moreno chooses to, it's not going to go so grappling heavy compared to the Pantoja fight, right? He's not going to have to deal with those scrambles and those aggressive takedowns. Do you think that'll play into Royval's hands?
Maybe Royval's also a good grappler and black belt in jiu-jitsu, but Moreno as well. So Moreno's so well rounded. You saw him versus Figueredo, how he took that scramble and that whatever was their 57 fight, the fight in Brazil where Moreno regained the belt, where they had the nice sequence, the grappling sequence, went for a takedown, and then he grabbed the guillotine, heel hook to stand up. So Moreno knows his way around the ground. He probably won't shoot for a takedown as much as Pantoja did and try to lay on top of him and win by position.
Mm. Do we get in like, do we get in a bit of one of those scenarios, kind of similar to Rob Whittaker before he lost to DDP and Max Holloway, right? Where there's a very, very clear second best in the division, and that is Brandon Moreno at the moment. Are we getting into that territory with flyweight, with Pantoja being, I mean, obviously he won the split decision against Moreno, but kind of dominated Royval. You have got obviously Mohamed Makayev coming through and people like that. But are we entering that kind of situation, do you think, with Brandon?
Yes, because in that division, there's just nobody else who was champion. Figueredo is in bantamweight now, so there's clearly a champion, and there's a clearly number one contender in Moreno. And like it seems like every time it's like if Moreno fights, it's like, well, if you beat him, you get a title shot. If Moreno wins, he gets a title shot. Just like how Kai Kara France and him was for the interim belt. As like it made sense, like whoever wins fights for the belt. So it definitely feels like whoever wins here will get the title shot. But
Yeah.
Royval just fought Pantoja and clearly lost. So it's going to be a hard argument because there's no other clear contender.
Yeah, I think had it still been the Amir Al-Bazi fight, then you're looking at, okay, that's the next one for the strap, because I think Al-Bazi's pretty far and away at the moment the next big contender that really could go and challenge for the belt. I mean, fair play to Moreno for taking this fight, because if you're the UFC, you're not really going to argue at a Rodriguez or take a main event either, right? That's still a fascinating fight, and that's still something you could headline this card with, for sure, being in Mexico. So fair play to Moreno for taking this fight. He obviously wants to stay active. My concern with him is, does he drop his guard a little bit? Does he put himself in that territory a little bit where he's like, look, I know I'm better than this guy. I've already beaten him. So maybe he goes in a little bit overconfident. I don't think it's in his character, but there is always that little bit, because all it really needs is Royval to catch him with something. And you're writing a different narrative for the division if you're Brandon Moreno, right? You're dropping down. You probably go below Al-Bazi as well in terms of the title picture. And then also, if Mokaev can get an impressive win over Alex Perez, I think they're fighting on the March 2nd card, if I'm not mistaken. You drop down a bit further. So this could be a really tricky fight for Moreno standing in the division.
Well, I believe Moreno, since since his first Royval fight, has been a different beast, because he's been either in fight of nights, super razor close fights, or been finishing guys. He finished Figueredo twice, finished Royval, finished Kai Kara France, and then all his losses you could argue as wins. The split, not split decision, but the draw versus Figgy, was pretty close. Although I do see more in Figgy's side, but the point loss gave it to Moreno. The rematch versus Figgy, where he was champion, lost it, and the decision could have argued was a win for him. I saw it was a win for him, and versus Pantoja again versus a win. I could argue was a win. So I think Moreno is still a dangerous guy. I think he knows it. I don't think he's gonna take anybody for granted, especially Royval, who we already faced. Even though it was like it was a short fight. He had the feel of him at least. So, and now especially headlining in Mexico, I don't think he'll take that for granted and take all the energy of the fans, because he fought Figgy in, was it California, where all the fans were cheering for him in the US. I think it's gonna be even bigger in Mexico, and he's gonna feed off that energy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, really. I think both know where we're going with the predictions. Question is, are we going to go finishes or are we going to go decisions? Where are you going with this one?
I'm going for a finish. I think you saw how Royval kind of gassed out or tired himself out in the Pantoja fight, and that was 5-rounder. it was for the belt. But this time you're fighting in Mexico, in a hostile environment, let's say.
Mm.
So, and then Moreno likes to put it on. He's gonna grab the energy. So I see a Moreno TKO finish around 4.
I was going to go round 3. I was going to go
Oh,
round
okay,
3.
close, close.
So yeah, I'm saying the same, but I'm going to go round 3. So main event. This is a very curious one. Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega last fought in the first match of this little rivalry, which 2022, a long time ago, July 2022,
Mhm.
that he dropped that loss. Previously lost to Volkanovski, and Yair Rodriguez also only lost to Volkanovski in his last fight out. I mean, when you look at Yair Rodriguez and you see that resume, he's only lost to the top of the top, man. Volk, Holloway, Frankie Edgar. Yeah, he had an early one against Roberto Herrera, but okay, 2012 when he was still a young guy. But the last few fights, man, he's beaten everybody there is in that division. I mean, where do you rank Yair Rodriguez in there at the moment?
Um, I don't know where he's ranked right now in the featherweight division, but he should be number 1 in my eyes, or number
Should be
2
number one.
after Max Holloway. I think yeah, it goes Volk champ, Max 1,
He's
Rodriguez
two.
2.
Yeah, he's two.
Yeah, I think that's clearly the top 3 of the division. It goes like Volk, Holloway, Rodriguez,
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. And we'll see how Taporia will lead into that with the fight this weekend. But Rodriguez is a nasty fighter. He has it's a unique style, and he brought it to Max Holloway. Right? He it was a pretty close fight. Although Max did win it, it was a pretty close fight. So,
Mm.
if you compare the Max's fight, Ortega versus Max was not even close.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. Although that was also like 5 years ago now. But
Yeah.
how much has Ortega fought since? It's probably 5 times since, one for each year. So
Yeah.
Rodriguez has been keeping active. He's been fighting the top of the division with Emmett, Volk, Holloway. So he will continue to be on the top streak and see. I see it's an easier fight for him, to be honest.
For Yair or for Ortega? Sorry.
For Yair, I think Ortega's going to struggle.
An easy fight. Ooh. Ooh. I mean, it's interesting you draw the comparisons, right? Because if you look at it that way, yeah, Ortega versus Max, right? It was a walkover, right? I mean, Max
Yeah.
destroyed him, and then
And then
Yair versus
Volk,
Max, super competitive, right? And then
yeah, yeah.
Volk and Ortega was. I mean, Ortega had him absolutely tied up. Like how we still don't know to this day how Alexander Volkanovski survived without developing gills and being able to breathe out of his stomach, right? Like we just don't know. Both the triangle and that guillotine. Whereas the Volk Yair fight, yeah, it was little bit competitive until Volk decided it wasn't, right? Until he decided he was just going to pick him up,
He's
put
like,
him
yeah, I was
down, game over, right? So it's interesting to make those comparisons. I see this depending what Brian Ortega shows up. They're both super young. You look at the activity. Is that a good or a bad thing for Ortega? He's never really been particularly active, apart from his first run to the belt, where I think he did Moicano, Swanson, and then he got to the title bout, or did he have a fight before the belt? And he looked on fire, man. The dude looked awesome going into that title fight. And then it's compared with Yair Rodriguez, who's always looked like potential unfulfilled. And I think everybody thought, yeah, okay. Everyone's always kind of undervalued Volk a little bit. Everyone's always kind of given the challengers a chance. Obviously, we don't know how the end of this weekend ends up or last weekend, but I think people gave Yair a lot of a chance against Volk. They thought that unorthodox style would catch him, and I think we are, like you said, I totally agree with what you said about the top 3 there. We are really seeing Rodriguez come into his own, and this should be a marquee moment for Rodriguez. I think he's really got it. If he's got aspirations of getting either a rematch against Volk or a Volk or a title shot against newly crowned Ilia Topuria, he's got to put on a really good performance here. He's got to put on a really
if
good performance.
if Taporia allows it.
let's not go there. Let's not go
Okay, okay.
there.
I know it pisses
Um,
you off, so I just wanted to mention it. um, yeah. Well, I just saw it. Ortega's been to UFC since 2014.
yeah, it's a long
That's
time.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how he's still ranked in the top of the division with the inactivity.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go off
But
the similar stat to Colby Covington, right? Like currently as it is, Brian Ortega doesn't have a win over a top 15 rank featherweight.
true.
His closest
Yeah.
win is Renato Moicano, Renato Moicano, who's up at lightweight.
Yeah, yeah, and his last win was versus Frankie Edgar or Korean Zombie, who retired, and
Korean
Frankie
Zombie, who's
Edgar as
retired,
well,
yeah.
who retired.
Frankie Edgar retired.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he needs to prove himself that he belongs in the top 15.
Yeah.
Don't pull up Colby Covington. At least he's not talking too much crap.
No, he's
Um,
been quiet and getting away with his work and spending time with Tracy Cortez. It's not
not
bad, man.
anymore. Not
Not
anymore.
anymore. No, they broke up. Oh,
A long time
bad
ago.
time. Did they? Must
Yeah,
have to call together. Shows how much I
that's
keep
all.
up with
That's
the Real
another
Housewives of
that's
UFC, right?
that's another podcast. There's a whole other story there.
Let's get to our predictions then. Anyway, I think I pretty much know where you're going to go. Are you going to go by finish or decision?
Um, I think it's gonna go decision, but I think it's gonna be like
Okay.
a 30-27 for Rodriguez type thing. Because I see it's more of a boxing jiu-jitsu versus classic kickboxer matchup.
It is a 5 rounder,
Um,
by the way.
oh, it is 5 rounds. True, because it's supposed to be main event until. Well, then I'll give 1 round to Ortega. I think he's gonna probably get some some jiu-jitsu going and probably get to the ground at one point. But
Yeah, when Yair wants to take a rest.
yeah, exactly. So 49-46. Um, my scorecard for Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think. Look, there's one of two ways it's going to go, and I think it's massively going to depend. Well, the end of the fight, post fight, will depend on what has happened at UFC 298. I think Yair Rodriguez is going to go in there super motivated. I think we're gonna see the best Rodriguez that we've seen, and I think Ortega's going to look slow. He's already looked slow in the striking to Max Holloway, and you can argue that Yair Rodriguez is more of an unorthodox and more wild striker. So
Mm-hmm.
if Holloway can piece up Ortega the way that he did, I think Rodriguez can as well. So I see Rodriguez getting the stoppage in the 3rd round, probably by a TKO. I don't think it'll be clean. I think it'll be a TKO. And then if we're in a world where Ilia Topuria is the champion, he goes and talks some mad stuff on the mic. They set that fight up for if they want to do UFC Spain or another Latin America card because they're both Latin American. Well, they both speak Spanish and they appeal to that Latin American market.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a no-brainer. And then if Volk is still the champ, I think he still calls for that rematch with Volk. So yeah, that's where I'm going. Round 3, stoppage, Jair Rodriguez. Next fight on the main card is a women's strawweight fight. Yasmin Jauregui versus Sam Hughes. I'm a little more clued up on Yasmin than I am on Sam, I've got to say. But thankfully, you're here to jump in and save the day on Sam Hughes. So what do you know about her?
Well, I'm kind of the same card as you. I know more Yasmin than Sam Hughes, but I'll say Sam Hughes is not impressive to me. She is, how old is she? She's 31 years old. She's like ending her prime. She's been in the UFC for a minute now. She's been in the UFC since 2020. She got in the UFC with a 3-fight losing streak. Wins 2. Loses 1, wins 1. Her losses did not look good on her. She lost by doctor stoppage against Tisha Torres. She got Ren versus Elise Reed, who also has an impressive record with 6-4, while Hughes was 6-2. So, or the opposite. She was 5-4 and she lost versus sorry, what is it? I was saying she lost versus whatever. She's not impressive. She's not impressive as a fighter, and I think just to shut up Yasmin into stardom because she's
Mm,
21. How old is she? 21-year-old Mexican fighter.
hmm
Her last fight didn't go so. Her last fight was a win. Before that was a loss. Before that, she was, I believe, co-maining Cruz versus Vera,
mm,
and it was fight at night, and it was one of the best women's fights we've ever seen because it was a 20-year-old Yasmin versus 21-year-old Yasmin. Both of them were named Yasmin, and it was strike for strike one of the better fights I ever seen in the strawweight division.
mm. So one to go back and watch then for the people out there. Go back and watch Yasmin versus Yasmin from a couple of years ago. Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I mean, we won't dwell on this one too much. I agree that they're definitely trying to build that name. She's still young. She's got an impressive record. To be 10-1 and be there in the UFC at such an age is good. Obviously she
And
she, she dropped it. Go on.
I was just gonna, I was just gonna say she has more TKO and KO wins than decision,
Yeah, which is hard at
and
that weight class.
the women division, right? You never see like that. It's not even submission. I mean, she puts a beating on these women,
Yeah.
on the other women's. Um, and she's 10-1. So I was just gonna say as well, the one loss probably relieves some pressure of being undefeated in the UFC. So now she can keep going on that streak of developing and proving why she could be the top of the strawweight division.
Yeah, and then she's obviously dropped to Denise Gomes last time out, but then with the win here, she could be looking at somebody like a Michelle Waterson. Gillian Robertson's obviously coming off a win. She's probably going to be looking up, not down. You could go a bit more. I don't know if Tisha Torres is still what her situation is, but you could go maybe somewhere around there. Karolina Kowalkiewicz as well, although she may be looking up. So there's a good future here for little Yasmin. I'm gonna go for her to win. I think she's gonna stop as well, maybe in the first or second round. Honestly, I can see her getting out of there quite quick.
I have a Yasmin TKO as well.
Yeah.
Um, round two, I think she's gonna put too much pressure. Hughes is just gonna survive at the bell because the classic strikers is wrestler type matchup. So I think
hmm
Hughes is try to wrestle her, get to the ground, but um, we'll see how good Yasmin's takedown defense is and see if she can get on top of her and get the ground and pound going.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. This is probably a fight I'm super excited for. Manuel Torres against a hat trick hero, friend of Combat Sports UK, Chris, the problem Duncan. Our interview with him went live last week, so go and check that out. Where he showed me around his room and he's got all his supplements, his altitude tent. Dude's been sleeping in an altitude tent. He's taking this fight seriously, man. Like he's not joking. He went out to Mexico 2 weeks early. Just an absolute stand-up guy, an exciting style. I think he's somebody that's improving every time he gets in the octagon. But this is no joke. This fight. This is no joke. This fight, man. Well, what are your thoughts on Chris, the problem Duncan? Has he kind of come across to your shores? Is he pinging on your radar?
Does he watch this podcast?
I would imagine so.
Well, Chris Duncan hasn't impressed me since the Contender Series. Um, so in the Contender Series, he was losing that fight, right? And then he got
Yeah, he
he
got
got
hurt.
knocked down twice, and then he knocked it out. Like, good for him, you found the victory.
Mhm.
But since he got to the UFC, he was one of the UK cards I remember. And two fights now in the UFC. I've never seen his fight and went like, wow, he belongs in the lightweight division, like top 15 and keep going. Like I could see him fighting for a belt one day. Um, I hope he proves me wrong. He's still young, 8-1, so it's still impressive record.
Mhm.
But the guy he's facing, Manuel Torres, is a different animal.
Mm.
So sorry, UK fans. Um, sorry, I didn't want to talk too much crap, but Chris Duncan just hasn't impressed me so far. It's the truth. I
Yeah,
more than welcome him to prove me wrong.
that's it. Mic
Yeah.
drop. Mic drop. I mean, I'm gonna completely counter that and say, did you not see the Ash Moves fight? How good he was in the Ash Moves fight. Yeah, the dude had a broken arm, but Duncan was on another level, man. He was levels above Ashmouz on the night. He did get caught with a couple of shots, but the footwork, the speed in which he was getting in and out of range, I was super impressed with. Yeah, the Morales fight, his debut wasn't the best. I think that was on the Edwards Usman card. When I was there in person, it was kind of like a nail biter. I remember being
Yes,
there in the
yes, yes.
stadium. It was a nail biter. But that Ashmouz fight, man, if you weren't impressed by that Ashmouz fight, you need to go back and watch it, sir. I don't care if you're game bred or not, you need to go back and watch that fight. Because that was an incredible fight. But you're totally right about Manuel Torres, man. He's a problem for the problem. He is a problem for the problem.
He is the problem.
And obviously Chris is going into that hostile territory in Mexico. When I spoke to him, he kind of brushed it off. He was like, "Look, that's the pressure. I'm going to go out there and put on a show and win over those fans. They're not like the Brazilian fans that are very, very diehard. I think the Mexican fans will recognize game if Chris goes out and puts on the performance he wants to. So are you picking against the Scotsman, John Boguslavski?"
Huh. I'm not only picking against him. I got a Torres round 1 finish.
Jesus.
But also, if you looked at his last fights, or all of his fights,
All of his fans.
all of his fights ended in the first round, except for one that went to decision.
Yeah.
Whether he won or lost, he has 2 losses, Torres, on his record. They're on round 1. All of his wins round 1, except for one decision that went past the first round. I don't see this any different. He's always on Dana Now You Know segment. And when he fights, he's a finisher. He's very impressive in his own town or his own country. I can't see him in a scenario where he's losing. But again, I welcome Chris Duncan to prove me wrong and take that hype train away from Manuel Torres.
Let's get it, Chris Duncan. Let's get it, Chris Duncan. You've got some research to do, my friend. We got 3 interviews with Chris Duncan. Go listen to the man, go love the man, and then change your opinion on this fight. I'm going Chris Duncan. Round 2 finish. I think it's going to be an absolute war in the first round. I think Chris is going to get hurt. Manuel is going to get hurt. Chris is going to figure it out in the second round and just bang him out. Raul Rosas Jr. returning as well. The hype train, probably of all hype trains. When you throw, obviously, Khamzat in there as well as the bigger hype train. Is this another setup fight?
But he fights more than Khamzat. So.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, literally everybody. Yes, I believe it's a step up in competition for Rosas Jr.
Yeah, Ricky. So CS's got a good record as well. Like it does seem a bit more evenly matched, right?
Yeah, Ricky. However, no finishing instinct, from what I see.
Okay.
Ricky is a bit older, so Rosas is literally fighting a man. I don't know if Rosas is he 18 or 19 now? Is he still 18 or is he 19? So
I think he could be 19.
Still a teen, literally a teenager. So he's gonna be fighting a man. It's definitely a step up of competition. I'm pretty sure Ricky was a champion before he was in the UFC and in the league he was fighting. He was fighting, and so it's definitely he has that mentality. He knows what to do to get to fight for a belt, to be a champion in a league. So he'll definitely bring that aspect to Rosas Jr. to show there's a different mental step that you have to cross to be a fighter.
Yeah, let's see if Rosas Jr. can do it. I mean, I think the UFC want this guy to win. I think they're giving him a matchup he can win with a path to victory. It's obviously going to be the grappling. Yeah. We might see him as a good striker in the next 3 or 4 years once he's improved. Now, he's got time to improve. But yeah, I think Raul Rosas Jr. by finish at some point would be my pick on that one.
I see this fight going like the Contender Series when Rosas Jr. had just pure domination on the ground for 3 rounds. Try to get some chokes going, but Ricky's also good on the ground. So I think Rosas will just control him, manhandle him on the ground.
And first fight on the main card, Daniel Zuluba versus Francisco Prado. Zuluba 14-1. Prado also 12-1. A lot of guys with good records on this card. Actually, This is certainly set up to be a really good card either way it goes. Zuluba's an entertaining guy, man. I like watching him fight. He's always one that the name obviously sticks in the mind. He's picked up a lot of finishes, especially by KO. TKO tends to be his path to victory. Last time out against Christos Yagos, got the anaconda choke. A decision against Lando Venata. I mean, to beat Lando Venata, you got to be pretty decent.
You gotta
Because
throw
he's
bricks
always
and bats at him.
he's always a super fun fighter, and then just a load of wins before that as well. Only lost to Trey Ogden, by again unanimous decision. So the dude doesn't really get stopped either. I think he's golden boy for a reason, and yeah, I enjoy this fight. There's not too many talents that come out of Argentina. These guys are pretty closely matched.
Low-key.
Francisco Prado. We'll
His
bring
only
it.
loss, only loss is to Malarkey. Surprisingly, was that Izzy versus Strickland card.
Yeah,
So maybe Malarkey got that boost from the Australian fans and kind of overwhelmed Prado.
yeah,
Well, Prado's also not bad. This is also Prado's 21 years old
yeah.
and Daniel's 24. I think this is a showcase for the lightweight division. See what the future can hold. Although lightweight's always stacked, but I think that we can see these guys. One of those fights like Tsarukian versus Makachev, how they fought so young in their career.
Yeah.
And now we'll see them in the top of the division in like a few years down the line.
Yeah, they can take on Chris Duncan when he's the champ, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
No hate on Chris. I just, my ass.
It should be exciting, man. Prado brings a good style as well, and like you said, it's one to really set up some futures. I'm gonna go Mexico. I'm gonna go Daniel Zuluba, by a knockout. I think first or second round.
I'm gonna go upset. The hometown favorite. I'll go Prado decision. Just so we're a bit different or controversial towards the end here.
Alrighty, let's bring this bad boy home. What are you seeing on the prelims that you like? I'm seeing 4 flyweight fights in a row
Yes.
to finish off the prelims. This is the card of the small guys. No fights above 155, right? So it should be fast paced.
That's like Mexican fighting though, right? There's nobody
true.
big other than like Andy Ruiz and boxing and heavyweight division, but everybody's usually small.
Yeah.
I'm going Felipe Dos Santos versus Victor Altamirano because Felipe Dos Santos really impressed me against his fight against Manel Kopp, where he showed up short notice and one of the closest. Well, I wasn't close towards the end, but he brought it to Kopp, who was already ranked, and this was his first fight in the UFC, and he won round 1 or 2. And he went blow for blow with Manel Kopp, and we know how tough Manel Kopp is. Jesus Aguilar, another flyweight. His last few fights have been fun as well. I think he's probably on the cusp of the top 15. I think a win here and one more win, we'll get him. We'll see him in the top 15 of flyweight division.
We could well do. As for me, dude, I like Luis Rodriguez, coming in, making his debut in the UFC, coming off a good couple of finishes, couple of decisions as well. Surprise, another young guy, 24 years old. He's taking on Dennis Bonda. That should be an exciting one. And also the opening fight, Claudio Puellas against Faris Liam. Puellas, before we ran into Dan Hooker, was on a bit of a tear. He finished Clay Guida. I will say that again. He finished Clay Guida. You don't do that. That doesn't happen. So that's exciting. He's coming back after a bit of a layoff after that Dan Hooker fight, about 18 months. But I think he'll be super exciting, out to prove a point against Faris Liam.
I just want to comment on Luis Rodriguez. I'm also excited for him, but he never fought at flyweight. He's been always a bantamweight. And ironically, his nickname is Lazy Boy. So I truly hope he makes 126 pounds that Friday morning.
Hey, don't we all? So that's it. Exciting picks, an exciting card. John and I, me, so to speak, anyway, I'm certainly praying for Robert Whittaker, Alexander Volkanovski double up to then go with the Chris Duncan triple at Mexico City fight night.
I
John
hope-
is going to go away and do his research and get up to date on Chris Duncan. Go and watch that Ash Moose fight. Go and watch our interviews with him. All of us, even though John picked against him, we're all behind Chris Duncan. We all hope he does well in this
He
fight.
he wins. I will come on here for the review show, and I will apologize to Chris and everybody in the UK.
Do you mean I have to apologize to Elisa Puri as well if he wins?
No, he could go
All right, man. Listen, thanks everybody for watching. John, Gamebred Bogustowski, as always, thanks for your time, brother. We appreciate it. Enjoy the fights.
You too, everybody as well.